If you've got a thirst for knowledge and a love for craft beer, then tune in to our podcast and let us bend your ear. From UFOs to rock and roll, you'll be ROTFL, you're AO. Saying, are you shitting me?
Good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Good day, mate. My name's Aaron.
And I'm Brett.
And you listen to AYSM, the podcast about a bunch of shite.
That was really impressive, dude. I was not expecting that.
How you doing, man?
I am fantastic. How about you?
Good, man. Happy Australia Day.
Start celebrating now.
Right. Hey, why not? No better way to celebrate than to open up a Australian beer here. Foster's. It's Australian for beer.
Are you going to talk the whole time with this accent?
No, I'll leave it there. I'll drop it there.
No, I'm not complaining. I'm just asking.
You kind of liked it.
Cool with it. Yeah.
On the side note for that, I changed my Siri voice to the Australian voice because it's sexier. Just got to say. It is the sexiest of the Australian voices. The female ones are pretty good too, I hear.
What happened here? Yeah, there is something about a sexy Australian accent.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So Foster's. We are drinking Foster's today, which I think most Americans go, oh, Foster's, Australian for beer. Because that was their promo here, which I think was brilliant. Like it kind of just, that's all the first thing I think of when I think of Australian beer.
For sure.
I was surprised this is brewed in Texas. It says on the can
That's
even
crazy.
Too. Brewed in the
USA.
Yeah. So I think it originated in Australia because it says in 1888 it was introduced there. But I'm guessing it has probably since moved here and is now just being brewed here as an American-owned company.
Yeah. It's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper just to brew it here and distribute here. And easier, too.
Do they even drink Foster's in Australia?
We'll get into that. Yes, they do.
The thing about Foster's, man, their cans were so freaking big. I never did a lot of Foster's. I don't know why. It always feels like it's just, hey, I'm going in for a 40 ounce.
It's an oil can. That's what it's called, an oil can. Yeah. Oops, it just spilled all over me.
Boy, I haven't had a Foster's since like college, man.
So when I used to work in Chicago and I would take the train back and forth every day at the Union Station, train station in downtown, they had a grab and go kiosk for beer.
Yeah.
And I'd have 5 minutes to walk by this kiosk, grab a beer, and then head to the train. And one day I went, I grabbed one, they wrap it in the paper bag for you all nice and neat. And I got on the train. It's about an hour and a half ride home. And I opened my beer and I was sitting there and next thing I knew, I had fallen asleep. And at some point, the train hits the brakes and the beer goes from my lap just rolling.
Oh, shit.
From the train full. It was full. I had 2 sips of it. It just smelled amazing.
Who did that?
What idiot did that?
My feet are all wet now.
If I find out who did that, it is a very clear
It is
beer.
very clear. This smells and tastes sweeter than I think the last lager I've had, or some of the more American lagers like Coors and Bud Light and stuff.
To me, this is definitely smoother. Sorry. I don't think it has an amazing taste, but I could totally drink this.
Yeah, you're right. And it's our old standard. That's probably a good lawn mowing. It's brewed in Fort Worth, Texas, 4% ABV, and it's an Australian lager. The notes I found said it has a moderate aroma with malty character, has a crisp, clean hop finish. I don't know if I get hop, maybe a little bit in the back.
It's funny because on Untapped, it's got a 2.79 rating. 152,000 plus ratings were done. So 2.79, that's obviously not even 3.
Yeah, an average beer.
Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I could get down, do a little barbecue and some horseshoes or bags and drink this on a hot summer day.
Yeah, these big cans will hold you over. That'll be good enough
how
for
many
me.
ounces is this?
It's like a pint, I think, or a whole quart or something like that. I had to go to the liquor store and try to find it. And I went to 3 different ones and they didn't have it. Finally, I found one, the last one, and it was just single cans.
I can drink the whole thing today, but yeah, it's actually, I had to go on to a couple different liquor store websites. I saved myself the trip and had to see if they had Foster's, and it seemed like many of them didn't.
Yeah,
which I thought was really weird.
Yeah, I thought it was a standard one out there too.
According to Untapped, this was first brewed in 1888. Mm-hmm. Like the ABV, I don't see it on the can, which I think is weird. On Untapped, it's got, it varies between 4 and 5% depending on where you are. Like Australia, it's this, and the US, it's this. I find that interesting.
Oh, and why would they have to? Is there a regulation for that or not? I don't know, because certainly we have beers here in America that are all ranges. Maybe it's more like other countries have a specific limit.
I don't know.
Anyway.
All right, then.
We decided to do this episode because we do have some Australian listeners. It's the first country we actually breached, right? Outside of the U.S.
It was the very first country that we had a listener in.
Mm-hmm.
And
hi to that listener. We appreciate you. And we're moving an episode just for you.
Hopefully you're still a listener.
If not, then it is interesting.
No, I will say Australia is one of those places. Like when I was in high school, there were 2 countries that I wanted to go visit. One was the Soviet Union, back when it was the Soviet Union,
right?
And Australia, because I thought Australia would be so cool. Koala bears and kangaroos.
Walla Walla.
Walla Walla, yeah. Look at you doing your research.
I've watched Crocodile Dundee many times.
Yep, learned a lot.
I wanted to go to Russia as well. I thought that would be really neat. Obviously, I wouldn't. There's no way I would go there now. Like, it almost feels like if you're an American, you're just going to get arrested over there because of whatever. Probably not. It just seems like that's probably the news take of it. But it feels like
if you're traveling with a bunch of pot on you, you'll probably get caught and do some time. And then we have to do a special rescue operation from the U.S. We'll do a prisoner swap for you. I still think it would be really cool to see and experience. It's just that for me, when there's so many other places that I'd rather go first.
Right. It's not as high on the list, right? So you've never been to Australia?
I have not. You have?
I have not. I wanted to. Obviously, I lived overseas in the Philippines, and it was like we were very close to be able to go there. It would have been an easy jump. We did Japan and Korea and China and Thailand and those things, but we just never got the opportunity to go down to Australia. I wish we had. That would be amazing, I think, to go check it out.
I agree. I would love to go. I'd love to spend a good week to 2 weeks there, going around checking out all the different territories and whatnot.
I think you'd have to do at least 2 weeks. It's such a big country. It's a singular destination. There's nothing else that you're going to go see but Australia. Maybe New Zealand too, but I consider that the same place.
Oh, those are fighting words for somebody. One's a Kiwi, one is, I don't know. Yeah, when we started looking into this, and we've been talking about doing an episode about Australia for a while.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting that this is actually coming true.
Or will we?
I didn't realize that Australia was so freaking big. I don't know if you saw a map, but it is almost the size of continental United States.
Yeah.
It's a little bit smaller, but it's huge. If you look at the globe and everything, it doesn't look that big.
Yeah, it's because it's curved on the globe.
In fact, yes. I did read a fact, too, that, aren't we all? But I had also read that it's got so many beaches that if you went to one beach every day, it would take you over a year to get to all the beaches.
I knew they had beaches because they're known for the surfing. Yeah. And obviously, the Outback, everyone knows about the Outback. It's just blooming onion. Oh. I didn't realize they had rainforests. I didn't realize they had a whole mountain range in there. Obviously, in the Great Barrier Reef is a whole nother thing to talk about with their landscape that is underwater, which is amazing. You can see that from space, which is crazy.
That's cool.
I read somewhere that over 80% of the country's plant and animal species are found nowhere else on the planet. It's such an interesting, diverse life that we don't see here or anywhere else.
21 of the world's 25 most deadliest snakes are found in Australia.
I believe that.
Fuck.
You've seen pictures of their spiders, man. They're not messing around.
Dude, I just saw a video of that. It was like how people deal with spiders in Australia compared to the U.S. And it's this young woman driving, and they're like, oh, there's a spider up on sun visor, and this thing is like the size of my hand.
Yeah.
And she's like pulling it down, and things like crawling all over her. She's trying to get it out of the car. I'm like, oh hell no.
Yeah. No, I just burn the car and move on.
You can have a car, spider.
Right.
I am gone. And it's one of those that's so big you can't step on it. The thing would eat your foot.
It steps on you.
It's true.
At least there's no dingoes. Dingoes ate your baby. I actually did some research on what that is because, like, obviously it's a big phrase here. And how many babies have actually been eaten by dingoes? There is one.
That's a good question.
It's a verified one.
Right.
It was the most famous case, 1980. This 2-month-old was taken and eaten, and then mom actually got put into jail for several years until 2012, where she finally got exonerated when they were able to prove that it actually was a dingo that ate her baby. So that was interesting. That's the famous case. Otherwise, they're not known for eating babies. They have attacked kids, and they'd have pulled them off. Certainly they would, but usually the parents are a little more attentive than that. And so thankfully, I've only seen the one case where they ate a baby, but I could be wrong.
They're not known for eating babies, but the thing is, they are. Here in the U.S., they are. Because it was even on Seinfeld. Seinfeld had a whole episode, and Elaine's, maybe the dingo ate your baby.
Maybe the dingo ate your baby. What? The dingo ate your baby.
I remember being in The Simpsons quite a bit too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but their wildlife will kick your ass. I totally want to go see kangaroos. I want to go see koalas. When I was a kid, I always wanted a koala. I thought a koala bear would be really cool. Mm-hmm. Not a bear, by the way, just so you know. But they eat kangaroo down in land down under.
Mm-hmm. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be leaner and healthier. And my dad went down, and he said it was pretty good.
Yeah. I do know they had like box jellyfish, and I think the funnel web spiders are super dangerously. But I also read somewhere that despite all this reputation of these bad ass animals, that there really aren't a lot of fatal animal attacks in Australia. Like, it's surprisingly low compared to like here. Obviously we get bear attacks, and I think because people are idiots here, like, oh, I'm gonna go take a photograph of this bull that's sitting right in front of me.
Oh, those videos of people at like
Yellowstone
walking up to a fucking bear or bison and
would stand next to him and pose.
Like, I don't know why he attacked me. My theory is that I think just like any other country or continent where they're surrounded by water, I think most of the human life is closer to the water. But I think because there's fewer people in the middle of Australia, because it's a desert, there's fewer attacks on people because there's fewer people.
That makes sense. So, I'm sure that's probably what it is too. It's just very interesting. I had a friend who lived over there for several years, and she loved it there. She would love to move back. I think it'd be cool to go check it out.
Well, according to our Instagram, we have been to Victoria. There's a picture of you and I. I'll get some more good pictures of.
Totally forgot about that.
You and I, and find some more pictures of you and I in Australia.
There you go.
It'll be good.
Find some.
Playing with our boomerang. It's not slang for anything.
Very good.
I believe Victoria is where our Australian listener was from.
Well, there you go.
Victoria is in the southeastern part of Australia, by the way. We knew that when we did our tour.
Of course, we saw that.
Speaking of animals and whatnot, did you see this story about the Great Emu War?
Yes, I did. And that they lost to the emus. So in 1932, Australia apparently waged this war on emus. They had these emus are these giant, I don't know if they have wings or they can't fly, but they're giant birds, almost like ostriches, right? A little bit. And anyway, they were just like devastating crops, and so they got so bad that the Australian government sent out soldiers to take care of the issue, and they started shooting, and from the first shot these emus just scattered and ran. They spent thousands of dollars and thousands of bullets, and they ended up only killing less than 1,000 emus all around. They're still a problem.
Yeah, I think I had read they pretty much were like, fuck it. We're not going to keep doing this. But I think I've read they dispersed from where they were being shot, but they were still out there.
The article I read phrased it as emus, however, proved surprisingly resilient and evaded the military's efforts.
I'm picturing emus.
Victoria down there.
Now, topic hopping here. In the U.S., a lot of people visualize the Outback as in like our steakhouse here in the U.S. Now, I read the guys that started the Outback Steakhouse had never even been to Australia.
Really?
When they created the restaurant. And it's crazy because, we've got shrimp on the Barbie, and it's, it's hand-breaded shrimp. They eat shrimp, prawns, actually.
Yeah, they call them prawns over
Australia.
there. Right. It's not even shrimp over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But an Australian barbecue is like burgers, sausages, steaks. It's not like our version, our American version.
Ours is so sculpted by pop culture. It really is. Like movies, and I think movies are probably play the biggest part of it. Crocodile Dundee certainly did no favors for establishing the correct stereotype. Certainly, it made a lot of interest. I think it opened up the interest in there to a lot of people. But
you call that a knife?
Mad Max, of course, is a huge series there that's all in the outback, and it's just desert wasteland. And Steve Irwin, Crocodile Hunter, he was big for a while there, and we have lots of actors and musicians from there too. But I feel like a lot of our influences are from these pop culture exposures that we have.
Sure, absolutely. And I think we're stupid Americans. We don't know any better.
Yeah.
It is interesting that you mentioned music. There are some really huge bands that have come from Australia. One of the biggest is, it's been around forever. AC/DC is from Australia. And they've been around since 1973.
Yeah.
And of course, you remember Crowded House.
Oh, I didn't know they came from there.
Maybe you don't.
Don't dream it's over.
Midnight Oil.
Midnight Oil. I love that band.
Actually, yeah, they've been around since '76 themselves. The lead singer for Midnight Oil. I've read that he was in politics and then got into music, but I always thought it was the other way around. That he had gotten into politics later in life and trying to help Aborigine folk.
Yeah.
And
Men at Work, of course. In Excess.
Oh, Men at Work. Yeah. All right. Men at Work.
You come down under.
Yeah, Men at Work. They've been around forever. I don't know. They're not still a group.
No. Colin Hay, though, is their lead singer, and he actually does touring and performs. I actually saw him down in Indianapolis a few years back. He's a phenomenal performer.
He's one of those I would love to see him. He's been on my list. It's just one of those I haven't made it happen yet. Colin, if you're listening, give us a call.
I like his songwriting style. Like his songwriting is really cool.
Did you ever watch the show Scrubs?
No, I haven't. I know what it is. I didn't watch it.
All right, fantastic show. It's a riot, and those guys, those actors are still, and they're doing commercials and whatnot together still. But there was an episode with Colin Hay on it, and he's just walking around with an acoustic guitar, and he's singing songs, and it's a really good episode. You should check it out.
I will check that out. That's cool. There's some more modern ones too, as well, for musicians. Tame Impala is one that comes to mind. He's really popular right now.
Don't forget one of the groups or bands that you and I have seen, John Butler Trio. He's from Australia.
Oh, really?
He is, yeah.
I did not know that. That makes sense, though, because that was they had some of that imagery in their visuals on stage and stage performance. Interesting. I get that now.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I will say one of the most popular quote unquote bands to come out of Australia, they've sold over 30 million albums worldwide. Nothing to sneeze at. The Wiggles.
I don't know who the Wiggles are.
What?
I do not know who the Wiggles are.
Your son's too old. Oh my God. The Wiggles, the popular children's band. I don't know if they actually play instruments, but they had a show on Nickelodeon or something. It was the Wiggles, and they're huge. Kids love them. They sing about fruit salad and
Okay. No, I'll have to Google it here.
No, you don't need. I'll save you the time. I told you everything you need.
Everything
to know.
I need to know is right there in the bylines.
I'll tell you, fruit salad, yummy, yummy.
All right.
See, I'm cracking up thinking about it. Hey, this Foster's is going down pretty smooth for how early we're recording today.
Obviously, we talked about musicians, but there's a lot of actors who are from Australia right now. Just to name a few: Hugh Jackman, Chris Hemsworth, Heath Ledger. I forgot that he was from Australia. I do remember that now. Nicole Kidman, Russell Crowe.
I did not know that.
Kate Blanchett. I didn't know she was from Australia. And then Margot Robbie also surprised me. She's from Australia.
What? I thought it would be fun. I was going to mail you a jar of Vegemite so we could try Vegemite while we were recording.
Oh, we should have grabbed it. I could have done that.
Yeah, but I'm like, I'm going to have one bite. And then what am I going to do with the rest of this? In my head, it tastes awful. I don't know. I haven't tried it, though.
I've never tried it either. We should try it, though. Maybe for this season 4 finale, we'll try Vegemite. If we remember it by the end of the season, we'll try some Vegemite.
I did do some popular food and drinks. I've never even heard of it or seen it, but Tim Tam, apparently it's a chocolate biscuit. Tim Tam, Timtam, 2 words. Apparently meat pie is a classic Aussie snack.
Yeah, it is.
And they have a tinny. It's a small can of beer, which reminds me of...
Which is probably a normal American can buddy. Compared to if this is their normal size beer, then it's just probably a regular 12-ounce can.
Everything's bigger down in Australia.
They always call it Americans. It's tiny, not tinny.
Well, it's Tinnie. I did find a couple everyday terms, if you will. I don't know if you saw any of these, but have you ever heard of fair dinkum? It means genuine or true. Oh, that's true. Fair dinkum. Ripper means great or excellent.
Oh.
You probably know this one, a bloke.
Yeah, I do know bloke.
That's man. Sheila is a woman.
I learned that from the Outback bathrooms.
That's right. Now, apparently, they're very fond of what they call thongs, which are flip-flops.
Yeah.
Of course, thongs in the U.S. are a little bit different.
Yeah, but most of the world calls flip-flops thongs, I think, except for the U.S. Well, maybe in France. Yeah. Who knows?
And then there's some expressions like no worries is one. You've seen that in the movies, I'm sure. And that one is you're welcome type of thing. Oh, thanks. No worries, mate.
I say no worries all the time, actually. I don't know why. I don't know, but I didn't recognize it as an Australian kind of thing.
It is. It is. I thought this one was funny. The expression is, how's it going? Which means, how are you? Oh, how's it going? Anyway, a couple of fun things I saw.
There's that stereotype of Aussies being laid back that is also very much the view that we get, which really isn't the case. They have businesses and cities just like us. They're just bustling as much as we are. I think that also comes from our media and how it's portrayed to us. Crocodile Dundee, the tortoise from Finding Nemo. It's always this Yahoo serious. Like it's always these laid back kind of dudes, and that's who we see.
Yahoo serious.
That one out of the archives.
Yeah, showing your age, dude.
Young Einstein was his movie.
Yeah, I think it was
back in the 80s or the early 90s. That was fun. It's weird now. I actually tried watching that a couple years back. I pulled it up. It came across like Netflix. I got 10 minutes. And I'm like, this is dumb. I don't know how this even passed back in the day. Is funny, but
when we were trying to figure out what beer to drink for this episode, I think Foster's was pretty much the only one that came to mind to begin with. Like, it's Australian for beer, from what I understand. And somebody can please write in and correct me if I'm wrong. But Foster's is consumed in Australia. But Cooper's Pale Ale is apparently very popular in Australia.
I had never heard of that one before, but I saw it there too.
I've never heard of it either, but I've seen it before. Actually, Victoria Bitter, which VB is their thing. It's listed as an iconic lager, popular with Australians. There's a ton of regional beers that are down there. Some things to put on our to-do list when we go. We're going to have to check out the Melbourne Beer Festival. Sydney's got one, Brisbane and Perth. And I'm sure that Victoria, so our one listener in Australia, come meet us out. We'll have a beer.
Yeah, that'd be cool to go check that out. Head down there, drink down under.
I would love that. Aussies drink 1.7 billion liters of beer per year.
These cans are freaking huge.
Right? That seems really high.
It does. 680 bottles of beer on the wall.
Yeah. I had read that the Canberra, which is the Australian capital,
Right.
meant women's cleavage in Aborigine and was named that because the city is cradled between two mountains.
Right on. I actually did read something on that too.
Awesome.
Sydney and Melbourne were wanting to be the capital, but they couldn't decide on which, so they ended up choosing Canberra as the compromise because of that.
And now I know that you knew this. Wombats deposit the square poop. Their poop is square.
I remember we had this conversation.
It's true. We did talk about it once. I think it was you or Karen. Australia has the largest camel population in the world.
Really?
They're cruising around the desert, and they actually export camels to the Middle East.
Wow.
Who knew?
I did not know that.
So, have you ever watched any documentaries about the birth of kangaroos?
No. That topic hasn't popped across my radar. Oh, man, this would be interesting to understand.
You know what I should watch? Okay, so when baby kangaroos are born, they're only about 2 centimeters long. And what they do is when they come out, they crawl into the sac. As
marsupial pouch.
They're marsupials. Yes, they crawl into the pouch, and then that is where they grow. And then it's once they're full size or whatever, they hop out. But they're only 2 centimeters long when they're born.
Wow. I guess that's an easy birth then.
We were talking about beers before. Moomba is Australia's largest free festival that's held in Melbourne, which means up your bum in many Aboriginal languages. Like, what is this festival? 33% of Australians were born in another country. That's a really high number. Is it because people are flocking to Australia?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah, thought that was interesting. I think that we need to head down and check out Australia soon.
Maybe after we hit the Foster's Brewing facility down in Texas and then go there.
That sounds great.
Speaking of Foster's, I'm going to give another shout out to it. It's too big. It's too much in one sitting to just chug. This is definitely a sipper of these oil cans, but it's good. I like it. For a lager, it tastes good. I don't know that I'd grab it every time, but I wouldn't necessarily turn it down either.
How much was yours?
That's like $9.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Mine was like $3.
Oh yeah, no, it was ridiculous here. I'd rather spend $9 on a nice bourbon barrel stout or something like that instead.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, Foster's going to make bourbon barrel. I would check that out for sure.
Maybe they do, and they just don't distribute here in the U.S.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Make sure you check us out at aysm.show, where you can find out information about our show and our podcast and where you can find us and all that good stuff. We're also on Spotify and iTunes and Facebook and Untapped and a whole bunch of other places. So you check us out. Shout out again to Foster's because it was good. I dug it.
Well, speaking of social media, I don't know if you've noticed or any of our listeners have noticed, but on Instagram, there's links to the episodes as they're coming out. When you see it, you go on up to the bio and you can click directly on the link. It'll take you to Spotify and you can listen in. But of course, you can always find us wherever you get your podcast from.
Indeed, wherever, indeed. All right. Good talk about Australia. It's an interesting country. I definitely like to go check it out. I think it'd be fun. So we'll have to do that for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go throw another shrimp on the Barbie.
Really? Another shrimp on the Barbie?
Another one.
I'm going to put on my thongs and